what the weather's doing.
Are you thinking they should be concentrating on?
Well, you know, it all depends. If you want to fish that thing to win, I think there's two techniques that you got to do, and that's...
Don't say frog.
Well, I'm going to. Either, you know, you got to throw your frog with a lot of discipline because it is transition time. The days are starting to get shorter. You know, the nights are getting longer, and the fish are going to adjust to that. And usually what happens during transition times is that bite starts happening at about 4 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, which your scales are closed by that time.
With windy conditions prevalent, Bobby and I were only able to catch small fish. But later on, as the tide conditions improved, Bobby was able to make things happen and landed some decent fish using various techniques.
But the line was moving, so we had to move him a little bit.
Okay. That's a single.
Oh my God.
About all we can seem to be getting today with this weird tide.
Water presentations such as Bobby's Perfect Frog by Snag Proof, fished over shallow grassy areas, helped Bobby put this fish
Come here,
in the
you.
boat.
Not the biggest topwater fish in the world, but the bite on the Delta lately has been so brutal. Like I said earlier, the best way to get bites, subsurface. But if you wing that topwater around, stay with it. One guy's got to stay with it. You know, this is not the bite we're looking for. Those will work, those will help, but we're looking for that big guy. It's hard to get that big bite on a drop shot or a Senko right now. The best way to get a big bite is with a topwater bait.
One of the newest and most popular techniques for Delta fishing is called punching. And Bobby is one of the best there is at coaxing fish into biting using this method. Let's listen to Bobby as he explains the technique.
You got an 1.5 ounce sinker, you got a 100-pound line, and that thing goes through that stuff about 100 miles an hour, and that's usually when you get bit by a good fish when you're punching. You punch, you flip, you shake it a little bit, it goes through, and they get it immediately. Your big ones, that's what they do. That one, I thought it was going to be a big one because she grabbed it as soon as it went through. But you know, she ends up being a little over 2 pounds, 2.25, whatever. But that's the deal. When you're punching, you better be on the clock. As soon as that bait goes through that stuff, you're fishing, and you better be ready. These are the type I like. I love these patches of pennywort and primrose that hang over the deeper water. You got 1 foot to 2 feet of water right here, and this hangs over 3, 4, 5. And when you pitch into that stuff, hit free spool. Let that thing go through as fast as possible. And as soon as it hits the bottom, click over because you want to be in touch with that bait if it makes it to the bottom. And a lot of times these fish will show a preference. A lot of times they'll show a preference for being in one vegetation or another. Right here with the yellow flowers, you've got primrose, and then behind it you've got pennywort. So you got to really pay attention to the particular cover that you're getting your bites in. If you know, you're fishing a lot of primrose with the yellow flowers and you're not getting bit, and then all of a sudden you come across a patch of pennywort, the clover, and all of a sudden you start to get some bites, just bypass the rest of the primrose and just key in on that pennywort, or vice versa. Ay, 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 ay. Look like a drop shot fish. What's that thing doing inside there like that? When you're rigging up a punch rig to come out here on the Delta or Clear Lake, what you want to do is you want to get you a pretty stout rod, get 7.5 to 8 feet long, pretty stout, and 65 to 100 pound braid. I would use a 120 pound braid, but my bobber stops won't fit through it. So I use a 100 pound braid. Don't worry about line diameter. There's so many vines and everything down there that it's not real line diameter is not a big deal. Get you some bobber stops like this right here. And what those bobber stops are going to do is they're going to hold your weight in place. When you're punching, you want your bait, your hook, and your sinker to all be nice and tight, nice and compact, so that it will go right down through those little bitty holes that you're going to be getting through. 1.5 ounce tungsten. And then there's two different types of hooks that I will use for punching. You've got the offset shank here, and then you got a straight shank hook. When I tie this either hook on, I'll use the straight shank. I'm just going to tie a snell knot, and I'm going to go through the top of the eye, very important, and then I'm going to hold on to that line, and then I'm going to wrap forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to take that, I'm holding on to the loop over here, and I'm going to take that tag end, I'm going to go through that loop, and I'm going to pull that front tight, and then I'm good. It's quick, it's easy, and it holds. We're going to take our bobber stops, and we are going to slide it down just like that. That way we're nice and tight. And the reason you tie a snell knot on a straight shank hook is it will actually make that hook kick and grab. See that hook? It just, when you swing, that hook is going to kick and grab. Ay, ay, ay. That was not what we were looking for there. That sucker looks like a catfish. Oh! If this was a team tournament, my partner would have been right there with the net. I know he would have. These bites are too important right now. Oops. That's all right. That's all right. We needed that one. But my partner would have been, got him! Woohoo! High fives, live well, good shape.
Watch how Bobby exercises extreme patience as he works his frog through heavy cover.
Boy, that fish boogied to the left about 100 miles an hour. Come here, you. I think we got more grass than bass on that one. Eee. He keeps. That sucker just barely 13. Just barely 13.
Well, Bobby, we went out there today and it was not that good of a bite. It seems like that transitional time of the year. It's going to be tough for some of these anglers. What do you think that these guys should be thinking about when we come up in the next 3 weeks?
Well, those guys are going to get 8 hours. We got 2.5, 3 hours today. So,
okay.
You know, but this afternoon, in that 2.5, 3 hours that we got to fish, we got to experience exactly what your guys are going to get to experience. There's a lot more downtime and a whole lot less fish catching that goes on once you get past that spawn. Now you're fishing for feeding fish.
Okay.
There's no more of that, you know, throw pitch and sink goes around and all that, and you go through a bed area and you clean up and you got 25 pounds. No. These fish, you gotta, they only, you know, their stomachs are only this big. And when they feed for 8 to 45 minutes. And if you're in on that feeding window and you capitalize on it, you're gonna do extremely well. But if you're bouncing around, running around, grabbing this rod and that rod and checking all the different water columns, chances are you might go right over the top of the bite. Okay. You know, you might have been punching for 2 hours, nothing, gave up on it, grabbed a crankbait, did that for an hour and a half, gave up on it, put that away, grab a Cinco, you're all over the board.
Okay, well, your 3 baits that you're using today, let's talk about them real quick. Just review what you were using today.
We were throwing the punch. We were punching a sweet beaver. I was throwing one of the snack free frogs, my series frog. We threw a little bit of the buzz frog, the perfect buzz, and that's about it. That's what I like to do. I'm gonna live and die by the sword this time of the year. I like to fish to win, and when I don't catch them, It's ugly.
Okay, well guys, again, this is fishing. You don't always catch 100 fish a day, and we will be here in a few weeks. We want you to put your time on the water. There's nothing like time on the water. We'll see you at the Delta on September 17th for Future Pro Tour.
The Thunder Valley Outdoors Future Pro Tour has been brought to you by Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time. Evinrude Outboards, see the new Evinrude E-Tech. Nationwide Insurance, Nationwide is on your side. Navionics, the leader in mapping technology. Humminbird, simply, clearly better. Minn Kota, anytime, anywhere. Cocoons Eyewear, Gamakatsu USA, and these fine sponsors.